everyone. Welcome to the Mindset of a Hustler podcast. This is episode 10, and today I have Sammy Martin. Super excited to be speaking to Sammy today, who is a writer, producer, and half of the Nashville-based production duo 81 Mantra. Collaborating for nearly 8 years, Sammy Martin and counterpart Barrett have worked with many artists and writers, including Rhett, Gabby, Barrett, Kelly Clarkson, Nick Jonas, Lennon Stella, and so many more. They also develop artists, writers, and producers. So Sammy, welcome to the Mindset of a Hustler podcast.
Hey Slav, how you doing?
I'm good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Those are some big name artists, Sammy. Congratulations on all the big work you have done.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Of course. So tell me a little bit how you even got started, because how do you get from, just messing around on the computer to getting to work with someone like Nick Jonas?
I was in school and I ended up moving to Nashville, and I was working on my degree in Nashville. I had always kind of grown up playing instruments, piano, guitar, drums. So when I moved to Nashville, I ended up asking all my friends from Colorado, like, hey, do you know anyone in Nashville I can plug in with who's involved in music? And it just so happened my old tennis coach happened to be plugged into the Christian hip hop scene, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So he linked me up with the producer there, and I called him a bajillion times, and they finally gave me the interview, and then I interned for this studio, which was like a small, basically like a film and TV kind of like make beats and pitch to TV and licensing companies. And from there, I just learned how to program basically, and took it from there. And then a lot of my relationships stemmed from that first experience, and just kind of branched out and went further from there. It's
And you always knew you wanted to do this? Be a producer?
Oh, no. I actually, it's funny because I didn't really know what I was doing or what I wanted to do until I moved there to Nashville. I was a decent guitar player. I was okay at piano. I was not a super talented musician. And, I literally just went with the one internship or the one connection that I was given. I was like, let's see what these guys do. And, I saw what they did, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that this was a thing. A thing. I really didn't. Yeah, I didn't know it was an actual thing where you can sit there and create and use all these programs and like make all the music on a laptop. I just didn't know that. I messed around with stuff on like GarageBand and stuff like that, and I saw these guys do it at a really high level, and that was the moment I was like, I can do this. Like, this fits my skill set well, and I want to learn as much as I can about this. But yeah. And
was there a specific person that inspired you at that time?
Well, what's funny is my main collaborator, who's like the other half of my group, 81 Mantra, he was one of the guys that was working for this company when I first moved there. So he basically was in the studio at all times when I was like, vacuuming and taking out the trash and cleaning toilets and painting rooms and doing all that stuff. And so we really connected there, and then we've been working together ever since. It's crazy. But yeah.
In 8 years, correct?
Yeah.
So starting at year 1, where were you, and what progress have you made in 8 years?
Year 1, I was, oh my God. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just making shitty beats is what I was doing. I was making shitty beats that were garbage, but the really cool thing that I had was I was able to get feedback, and I don't know how they gave me feedback because I go back and from this company that I was interning for. So it was like 3 guys, one of them being Eric. and they were really good at giving me feedback and hearing through all the crap.
Right.
You're like, oh, well, you did this well, so focus on this, and this. And you know, I would spend all this time doing not a great job and but having so much fun doing it. Like I was having a blast. I didn't know how bad I was.
You thought you were just killing it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm the best. Like I made this one beat. I'm so good. And then like a year later, I listened. I'm like, oh my god, how did I even? Sometimes I listen back to this stuff like from 8 years ago, and I'm like, how did I not quit that day? Like
but
I should have.
In a way, you kind of need that confidence, right?
Oh yeah, or delusion probably, yeah.
Or else you would have quit.
Yeah, 100%. And the key was to, the key was feedback and other people. Like, I could not have done any of that on my own. It was other people giving me honest feedback about, hey, here's what you could improve, or you know, you were onto something here. Like, it's not good, but you were onto something. So like, keep chasing that and maybe try incorporating this or doing this or this sound might help, or you know, EQ this part, this, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, and I hope to say the exact same thing in 2 or 3 or 4 years and talk about how garbage everything I was making,
right
like whatever I made today. I would love to laugh at it and be on a whole new thing. So yeah, it's kind of a constant, just build yourself up, tear yourself down, and continue to.
That's just life in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Always continuously growing and expanding.
Yes.
And I think currently right now the music industry is huge. I mean, everyone is getting into the music industry, whether it's producing or being the actual artist. And in your opinion right now, do you think it's more important to have the talent or have the connections?
They're equally important, and I'd also say networking and connections is a talent in itself. Like, that's a skill, and that's a valuable skill. And I'd say you need a combination of both of those things, or you need to be undeniable in one or the other. Like if you are an undeniable talent and you are a once in a generation, you'll probably, you know, get discovered. But most of us aren't that. If you have every connection in the world, you can probably have a great career and have no talent. But most people fit somewhere in between. I'd say the baseline is talent. Talent is step one, or you know, talent and work ethic. And then step two, you know, connections. I would like to call them more relationships than connections, because connection sounds like almost like in a shady way of like, I use people for this thing and this thing and this thing. But like, what I've learned is it's really about real relationships that you're not trying to get something from anyone. It's like with anything.
Just a collaboration.
It's like with anything. Like, it's no different than any other business where, you know, you have people that you trust, and if like you're fucking with someone from day one and they fuck with you, like wherever you guys go, like you're gonna have each other's backs. It's just kind of a thing that there's no like hack to it. That's why sometimes it takes a long time, because you're friends with this person, it has nothing to do with music, but you're in the same industry, and then this person goes and they're working here or they're working at this place, and they love what you do, they're gonna plug you in if they can. So. And
how are you finding these relationships right now? Or how would you advise someone in the music industry to find these relationships?
Well, it depends on a couple things. Where you are in where you live. 2, where you are in kind of as a writer or an artist or wherever you may be, or who you're working with, I'd say build with people around you that you can as much as possible, and I'd say don't be afraid. I mean, like nowadays, you can reach out to anyone, anywhere, at any time. Don't be afraid to find somebody that's maybe outside of your city. Find somebody on SoundCloud. Find somebody's Instagram. Find somebody who produced for this person that you really like, or that you think would be, a good match. Do your research. Find out who's setting up what. Find out what label is this person with. What publisher? Who their publisher? Who's their A&R? Who's their manager? Who is their engineer, or who's the engineer for this? The studio. Who's going to be able to hear things, basically. And I'd say, find the people that, like, sometimes it takes some digging to find somebody. Everyone likes to be like, oh, well, I DM'd Metro Boomin and he didn't respond. It's like, well, he's not going to work with you. Like,
right.
But, like, you could maybe find somebody affiliated with him somehow. And, there are all these different kind of gatekeepers that, if they like it, you never know. And I'd say too, if you can get to a LA, get to a Nashville, get to a New York, get to an Atlanta, at least start by visiting there and just see if you have anyone who that's involved in the industry in any way. Just say, hey, I want to come here and check it out. You really have no idea who you would meet or who you might get set up with, and each connection leads to another. That's just like, you meet one, you'll meet two, you'll meet five. And all these circles are pretty, a lot overlap and a lot are pretty small. And you kind of can look in and see, there's just a lot of people you can plug in with. But at the same time, you can do your thing too.
And people are reaching out to you, right?
Yeah, we'll get people reach out to us. Honestly, someone's on our Instagram and sends us a message like, yo, check this out, or would love to work. We don't turn our nose up to that. And I think that's the type of people like us, those are the people you can really target. We will listen, or we at least will see it, and if it's good, it's good. If it's good, we're gonna find a way to work. Two, if it provides some sort of a value for us, it's very helpful. For us, we can always use writers on top of we send out a lot of beats to get written to. We send beats to artists, we send them to writers. One could be, hey, I'd love to, or I wrote this, would you guys mind sending me some stuff? I'd love to write over it and send it back. And we could be like, hey, well, we're looking for this type of stuff, or we need these sync placements for sports commercials, or an HBO placement, or whatever it is. And it's we can always use more songs.
So when someone sends you a song, or a musician sends you a piece, what's one of the first things you listen for?
So it depends on what, if there's any context. So if it's just a blind.
Yeah, let's say someone sends you a song they wrote, beat, everything.
I have no idea who these people are. They're just hey, just check out my music.
Yeah, check out this song.
So first thing I would listen to is for me, and I think everyone's different, but I always listen to melody first. And for me, melody is king, where if the melody is good and I love the melody, everything else can be arranged to fit that. So that's kind of, if you've got a really good melody. The other one would be tone. Melody and tone. If you're a singer, tone is huge, and confidence, how you sing it. more than like pitch. I don't like, you can't hit a note. I can't hit a note. I still sing. I just tune my vocal. Like, so I'll listen to that, that tone and the melody and the confidence, and that's kind of the confidence is more like if you're an artist, but like tone and melody if you're a writer, like, because I can hear that song being something.
Who does inspire you when it comes to an artist?
For an artist, I'm a Weeknd fan. I'm a Kanye fan. I'm a big Bieber fan. Producer wise, like I love Metro. Timbaland back in like the early 2000s was kind of like Timbaland and Pharrell and the Neptunes like really like got me into production, and then Kanye did as well. Like I was just in love with like Kanye's sampling. That was like so inspiring. I just nerd out over all that. I love looking up like what he uses in his productions and like how his brain thinks to use like a certain sample for a song and change the context completely. So, I like to pick a lot from a lot of different things that kind of inspire. And then there's some things where I just like hear stuff and I just love it, and I just dive into a whole new set of stuff that I never listened to, and it's just like something catches my ear. I'm like, oh man, like I love their drums, or like I love how their synths sound. Like I'll just go look into whoever did the song, and the funny thing is if you dig into a lot of songs like by your favorite artists, and you find a lot of the ones that you like the most across different artists, if you look them up, you'll find that a lot of the producers, you might just like a producer or a certain writer and how they write, and you might not even know it, which is so cool. So I like to look at all the credits and see who does what, and look up all their other stuff. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is the guy that did this. No wonder I like it. Like, yeah.
Is there a certain artist you want to work with? Or that's your dream artist that you want to work with?
Man, I feel like I have a lot of dream artists, but I like to have more of the mindset of I want to build like my own version of that in a way where I've got my own artist who is that dream artist. So it's kind of like
you want to build someone.
It sounds like another cop out answer. Where it's like, well, but like I could sit here and be like, oh, I love to work with The Weeknd. I love to work with Big Sean. I love to work with Kanye.
I love that.
Of course, but it's like I love I like the mindset more of loving the process and not chasing a particular artist thing where it's they already are where they are. Like, of course, all that's amazing. I would lose my shit. Of course I would. But that's not my driving motivation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And the process, I mean, that's a big point right there.
Yes.
Because you yourself, you're creating the process and the tone and the song and basically everything about it.
Right.
And developing it to fit what you like, what you think is going to make the next big change in the music industry.
Exactly. So I'd say a better way to phrase my answer to that would be, I would like to be at the level of those artists mentioned, but with the people I'm working with right now. Yeah. And doing the same thing we're doing right now at the highest level. That makes sense.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you have a year in mind?
No. Gosh,
do this for 5 years. In a year? No, I love that.
No. A year, that'd be even 2 or 3. The thing is, what's crazy about at least what I've learned, especially in the last, I've been doing this for a while, but especially in the last year and a half, is how quickly things can snowball. And once things start happening, they kind of roll out quickly. And so I view where we're at right now is like this snowball has built and built and built,
Right.
and it's gonna start. We're on that kind of tipping point of about to start rolling, and it's really exciting. It's like frustrating and exciting at the same time. Because you're like, but the thing is, when that ball rolls, we're so ready. We have prepared, and it might seem like where did this come from? Well, but it's been building and building and building and building.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people miss out on that, right? Because they see the successful person and they just think they became successful overnight or someone gave them that success. But like you said, you've been working for 8 years nonstop to this point, and you've created this foundation where now you and your friend Eric both feel like you're ready, for this big, exciting, monumental step that you guys are going to take.
Right, and it often appears that like you said, it seems like a lot of these, this person like blew up overnight, or how did they, and that does happen, but that's like I said, the very small percentage. It's like, okay, yeah, that song went viral, and boom, okay, great, obviously that's a different story, but for the most part, you think these people come out of nowhere, but it's like, you look behind the scenes and you're like, wow, so this person was writing with this person first, and they were writing over here, and they were working here, and then they wrote this entire album, and it was a different artist, and that led to them being signed as an artist, and they put out their record, and then they went, and sometimes that just takes it just doesn't move quickly unless you're the one in a
right. Well, and something that Malcolm and I have always said is that overnight success usually doesn't last. It'll last for a few weeks, months, but they never created that foundation that's going to help them support them throughout their career or I guess fame that you can say. So we've always been huge advocates of the process and creating that solid foundation for whenever you are ready to make it big.
And I love that the like you mentioned, the process. You have to love the process too.
Yes.
Because if you have which is kind of why I teetered away from your dream artist goal, because it's like, if you have a goal like that, it's all it's one that can really never, or it can't sustain you, because it's placing your value externally. Whereas I know I love the process that I have right now. I just want to do that at the highest level, and I love what I do. It doesn't mean it's happy and fun and amazing all the time, but the general process is it doesn't matter who it is or what it's doing. It's I love the process of creating a song, and that's the high I get, not the I want this person or I want that. Yeah, that's all great, and I would love all that, but it's not my driving force.
Love it. Favorite lyric that you've written? Go.
Oh shit. Favorite lyric that I've written? It was called I Got Me. And I was having fun. And I was like, oh man, what would it sound like if Young Thug had a verse or a little B hook or whatever. And so I was jacked up the auto tune, and I had my microphone on, and then I just kind of, I usually start, if I'm gonna do I usually start with some melody that I hear, and then I just do gibberish, and I kind of fill in around whatever the gibberish is. And so this line is, so it goes, you don't need no man, but you got me. Only Gucci on the frames, but you cop these. But a bomb on the dick will keep you hopping. Ramadanin on that thing until it pop. And you go, oh. All them girls that need no man, where you at? All them girls that need no man, where you at?
Hey.
Sorry, I had to like search for that because I can't remember the full thing, but and of course I did it.
Lit.
I did it very young, Dougie, so it was fun.
And has anyone picked that up? You heard it here first. It's coming out a couple years. Watch.
Oh, it's hilarious. I had so much fun doing that though. That was like my favorite. I just got in the zone and I was like, awesome. What would you do here?
Love it. So I know a lot of our listeners are in the music industry. They're singers, artists, producers. So what advice would you give them? You know, someone who is maybe starting up, or has just 1 or 2 years under their belt. What's one piece of advice that you would give them?
One piece. I have like 5, but
that's fine. Sure.
I have because I've learned so like I feel like I've done so many things wrong. So I want to be like, hey, don't do the things that I did wrong, and it'll be way easier for you. Yeah. I think number 1 is like, don't be precious with what you have. Like, don't sit on like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 things. Like, you gotta like build up your catalog. Build. Create. And so don't be precious with it either. Like, put it out. If you've got nobody listening to your music, like, embrace that. It's kind of cool if nobody gives a fuck. Like, first of all, nobody, even people that are like in it, a lot of people don't give a fuck. Like, I release a lot of music, a lot of people don't give a fuck. Right. Embrace it, because we're in a really cool time where you can release. No one, like, if you have one thing pop off, no one sees the 50 other releases that didn't. They just see the one that pops off, and then the other ones will follow. So I'd say, like, don't be discouraged by numbers. Like, if you're putting stuff out, like, if you're independent, putting stuff out independently, don't be discouraged by numbers. Just be consistent. It's a really cool time where the cost to, like, record and like produce and put something out, like, if you learn how to do it all yourself, it's very cheap to do. You have to learn the skills, but it's go to YouTube, like learn how to track a vocal, learn how to tune a vocal, learn how to make beats. If you're not good at making beats, like, go release beats off BeatStars, or find people who make beats and work with them, and just create, and then put out, like, release. Don't worry about you're not gonna blow up the first thing you put out, but you might on, like, if you have enough, you might on, like, number 102 or 103, like, and for those independent people, like, some good resources would be, as far as, like, mindsets on how to break through independently. I'm kind of, like, parroting a lot of like Russ's model. Russ has this incredible model. Basically, he just broke through independently. He's like one of these top rappers who's just enormous numbers, and he did it all without a label, basically. Go check out their Twitch streams, check out their YouTube. Another great resource is Illmind, who's a producer, just like giving all kinds of good advice. And these guys are like a billion times more successful than me. Like, don't, like, listen to, like, what they say and what they're doing. And also, one more thing is learn the business side of how all this works. And there's actually this really good podcast called Paid in Full Podcast. I go through that thing, and it's really good at building the foundational business of, like, okay, if you're in music, you might already be beyond all this, but if you're in music, you need to know, like, how publishing works, how masters work, how publishing deals work, or how percentages are split and how to collect your money. Like, where do you even get your money that you could be owed, and how to collect your royalties. And that podcast is really good because it starts super basic. So if you have no knowledge, it's amazing. But even if you do know stuff, it really builds that foundation well. So I would check that out as well. But yeah, I'd say work harder, work smarter too. You know, it's like work smarter, not harder, but do both.
Right.
You know, believe in what you do, and think outside the box too. Like, be creative. There are a million ways to break through, and you hear a new story every couple of weeks or so, and it's like those are the people that, especially if you've got no contacts, no connections, be creative. Whatever, no one sees it. Doesn't matter.
Appreciate all that advice. Final question, Sammy. What does hustler mean to you?
Ooh, I like this. I think a hustler is somebody who, one, believes in their process, like we talked about, but two, doesn't put their head down and not think critically or be honest about themselves. So, believing in yourself and what you do, but also being honest with yourself and realizing when you need to adjust. If you are shooting the same shot over and over and it's not going in, keep practicing that shot, but maybe learn some other things.
Right. A different direction.
Maybe learn, how to dribble or learn a layup or something, but don't stop that process, but also think critically about it and be creative.
No, it's a great answer. I love it. Sammy, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If any upcoming artists do want to get in contact with you, how can they send you some music or lyrics or just, chat with you about the music industry?
Right. So you can check out our Instagram. It's just at 81mantra, MAANTRA. Just send a DM. I will answer. And feel free to ask questions. Send me links to your music. I will 100% listen to it, and I'll give feedback, and also there's a lot of things that I'm looking for. So I'm open to a lot. So yeah, feel free to hit me up, and yeah.
No, I love it. Hit up Sammy to be in this process with him, and who knows where this will take you. Appreciate it, Sammy.
Yeah, of course.
And if you haven't subscribed to our mindset texts that come out every morning at 7 a.m., please go to mindsettext.com to subscribe. It's completely free. We have over 1,000 people in our subscription. And if you like this podcast, please leave us a review, share with a friend. We are reaching close to 1,000 listeners now too, which is nuts.
Nice.
So I really appreciate all the support from everyone. And yeah, we out.
We out. Thank you.
Yeah, pour you a glass of bubbly, make it easy for you. Stay watching anime, we lounge like this. Acting a tad bit fiendish, you the sweetest, it's okay. I know why you stick around like this. Nevertheless, I need that body close to my grill. Get you inebriated in the air with my slip. You ain't done seen before Friday. Leaving me on red, it's got me feeling some way. Puffing on the stogie, little posy for the storyline. Act like you my shorty, sporting my chain with some other guy. I don't know. Relationship ain't nothing I force. You coming for the weekend. I could do this every weekend, baby. Only God is what you drinking. could fuck around and do something crazy. Now it's a downside to the shit. Got me faded now, I can't remember last night. This happens every weekend. Oh, we go crazy for the weekend. Got me waiting, baby. I got you, yeah, yeah. I got you for the weekend. I got you, yeah, yeah. I got you.
You know I'm in for the weekend. Sleeping on my chest and just wait for it. My love, my baby deep in. What you my Barbie like? Seen the mangoes on IG like. I'ma go make that sing, that's my favorite song. Turn it back around, I'll join the sing along like ooh. Yeah, okay. We had some problems and you called my bluff. I'm just wondering why attention is not enough. I'm working towards ascension and realizing potential and balancing date nights got me drying outside the stencil. You pensive at dinner tables, you trigger my deepest hatred. Thinking I'm about to snap these perimeters got me anxious. Cinema, you not innocent. Minimum where your principal. Intervals where you visible. Syllable choices pivotal. I can't forget what you mean to me. No matter how hard I try. If you choose to make this switch on me, I hope he's one hell of a guy.
Are you gonna go with him or you coming for the weekend? I could do this every weekend, baby. Only thought is what you drinking. We could fuck around and do something crazy. Now it's a downside to the shit. Got me faded now, I can't remember last night. This happens every weekend. Oh, we go crazy for the weekend.